Hey, welcome back to another edition of Man with the Show. Zane here. Oh boy, hope you guys had a good weekend. I know I did. Got a lot done. Had to make some changes, and we just had to beef up a couple things here and there, and hopefully we'll get the live stream up going very soon. But hey, here's something we want to start off with this week. There are two things here, this week we want to talk about. First thing, I just want to mend something from a previous episode. Episode back, we were talking about New Home for Dark Shadows and a couple of the series for Britbox. For some reason, Britbox has pulled all the Avengers episodes off Britbox for some unknown reason. Supposedly they were up and going in the UK. I'm not certain if they were coming to they were going to activate it in the US, but supposedly, and this happened the week of the death of Diana Rigg. I don't know if it's because of that or not because of that, or if it was a licensing issue. Britbox is not really precise on why. From what I understand, basically that the show will return eventually on Britbox. We're not certain when, how, but supposedly they've had some issues with it. From what it reads, it could be a licensing issue. It's a possibility, and that happens every once in a while because basically you had several seasons, and I think there was a switch of productions toward the end, so that might be that issue on there. Sometimes you have productions, movies, TV series that might have multiple partners, and sometimes one partner will decide, no, I don't want it released. The other one says, oh, no, it's okay, we can release it, and they would argue with themselves, and someone would get paid at that point. But hey, this is what happens in this business, and hopefully we will get the Avengers eventually online again. So the main body of this story today, we're going into the Doctor Who segments, and Doctor Who, dead as disco at this point. We're hearing stories that the season 13 could be 2 years before we see season 13, which really don't care about that and all that, and we'll discuss that in another episode. But I was flipping through same channel, Britbox, going back to Britbox a bit. On Britbox is the classic versions of Doctor Who from season 1, from Hartnell to Sylvester McCoy. Not every episode. There are some episodes in between missing here and there, but not many. And of course, some of the newer animated episodes. I think there's like only two animated episodes, which is the Invasion and the Powers of the Dalek, which are on there. But the newer ones that are coming out now have not been put on the system yet. But what I've been noticing in one specific episode, and I popped it on the other night, there's an episode from the Tom Baker era, and it's a real good one. It's a real good story. In fact, it did a bit of a spin-off of two of the characters on the audiobooks series from Big Finish. I couldn't remember that for a second. Big Finish. Yeah, Big Finish did a bit of a spin-off on two of the characters on there. The episode is called The Talons of Weng Chiang, and it is a real good episode. Now, the reason why I would pick out this episode specifically versus all the others is that there is a trigger warning at the beginning of the episode. Yes, folks, they're putting trigger warnings on Doctor Who episodes, and that is just insane in itself. I mean, Doctor Who, great series, great storylines, been written by many great writers for years, including Douglas Adams himself, which is, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And basically, this story, which was written by Robert Holmes and directed by Dave Maloney, they put a trigger warning on it. And it is just funny, because basically, the warning itself is just for a split second. And you can see it on the screen here. It says, this episode contains outdated racially insensitive language and portrayals that may cause offense. have they not seen the episode? You know, the thing that gets me is that they put these trigger warnings on these stuff like Gone with the Wind and all these other movies. They said, well, it's from an outdated. Yeah, it is outdated because the story takes place in Victoria, London. Okay? It doesn't take place in the present day. Things are going to be different then. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, and I would say go out and watch it. It's really good. It's about four chapters. Tom Baker's doctor lands with Leela, which she is at the time a new companion just joining aboard. This is second or third story. That would be the third story with Leela. And basically they land in Victorian London, and there are some murders happening and some disappearances, and there's leading to a magician who basically is Asian. And basically you have I believe it was the Tong gang and stuff like that involved. There's a lot of references to Asian gangs and kidnappings and murders and stuff like that. And what it turns out to be is a time traveler from the far future with his time experiment has had an accident and gets stuck back in Victorian era. And it turns he wants to try to reactivate his time chamber, and basically it could lead to a disaster of epic proportions that would echo throughout time and the universe itself, destroying it all utterly. And it is like I said, it is a real good story. I mean, there are experiments that happen in this. There are giant rats. There are giant rats in the sewer of England, which was I mean, the puppets are a little cheesy, but I mean, seeing something of this nature, it's really, really good. The characters are, they're a little bit over the top and stuff like that, but they're not deemed to have a trigger warning on this. I don't know what Britbox was thinking of this. I know this is not Amazon. This has to do with Britbox, because we've seen a lot of stuff from overseas. You know, movies like Alien and The Goonies got slapped with trigger warnings on overseas as well. So basically, you know, you have a story like this, and I checked around back and forth on a couple of the other stories. I didn't do the whole 26 seasons of it. I didn't check it back to forward, but as far as I could see in the Tom Baker era, I think this is the only one that's gotten a trigger warning, but I might be wrong. Unless I go through the whole thing, that's going to take some time. But we'll look into that. The air date on this was in 1977. And, you know, a story of this nature was, you know, when you write a story from a past era, obviously you're going to have, you know, scenes possibly of racism or violence, rape, murder, kidnappings, many different things that happen in the time period. You know, you have to look at the perspective is that was that time period. You know, you can't fluff it up and create a nice little bright universe. There were dark times in our history, whether it's our country, England, France, any of the other countries. Everybody had their dark periods. Some are still in their dark periods. But when you create a episode that takes place in an era, you know, I'll give you an example. If you're doing a story about Jack the Ripper, you're not going to have Jack skipping around all over the place and saying, hey, I just murdered somebody, be cheerful and stuff like that. No, it is a dark story. You're going to have a man brutalizing women, which is not good. It's not going to be a happy thing. But you don't put a trigger on it saying, like, listen, this guy's going to be killing me, women back and forth, you know, and raping them and this and this and that. It happens. That's the story. You know, I don't need to be told that there's outdated stuff on there. I already know it's outdated because basically it's not from this year. And the story takes place in a different era. So when is this going to stop? When is it really going to stop all this stuff? You know, this whole Karen stuff and, you know, people woke situations. This is why shows are not doing well. Already the boys on Amazon is starting to twist a bit into very wokeness. on there, and I'm very disappointed on that. Even though it's like, it's the episodes I've seen are decent, but there's some things in there that are just starting to get a little cringy in the last 2 episodes. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I'm reading the comic now. I'm on the first couple of issues. So far, I could see the changes between what Amazon did versus the comic, and yeah, it's master changes. And this season, the character Stormfront, they did a major thing on that change, and we'll discuss that eventually down the line. But this has got to stop. You got to stop apologizing for movies made a long time ago, TV series made a long time ago. I'm waiting for them to throw it on Andy Griffin next. This is ridiculous. So you tell me below, how are you feeling about this? I mean, do you believe they just threw trigger warnings on Doctor Who? I mean, just enough that it is that basically, that the show has been wrecked by 5 lines of dialogue in season 12. I mean, unless they completely fire everybody, get a new crew. I mean, I can't even foresee how they could change the series now than what they've done. So let me know in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe, like, share this video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being there. Thank you to the subscribers. And let me tell you right now, I want to thank my Parler subscribers. We hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. Thank you very much, Parler. Thank you very much. Hopefully they'll come over to YouTube and start subscribing there. Hopefully you, my viewers that are not subscribed, come on, subscribe. I know how many of you are watching these videos and hasn't subscribed yet. So come on board, have some fun. And we'll see you on the next one. I'll see you later.
Have you any idea how successful censorship is on TV? Don't know the answer? Successful, isn't it?